Another big story that we're following today, Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld told U.S. troops in Kuwait they must ignore criticism about the war in Iraq. Then Rumsfeld ended up having to answer some questions and some criticism from soldiers about the lack of armor for military vehicles. Here's a little bit of that exchange.
Why do we soldiers have to dig through local landfills for pieces of scrap metal and compromised ballistic glass to up-armor our vehicles? And why don't we have those resources readily available to us?
It's a matter of production and capability of doing it. As you know, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you might want or wish to have at a later time.
Joining us now to discuss the issue is Paul Rieckhoff, the executive director and founder of Operation Truth, a nonprofit, nonpartisan Iraqi veterans group which has been raising the issue of troop supplies. He served a tour of duty in Iraq from April of '03 to February of this year. Also joining on the discussion, MSNBC military analyst and retired Army Colonel Ken Allard. Paul, let me start with you. You wrote an op-ed in the International Herald Tribune, and you wrote, "It was apparent since autumn of 2003 that troops on the front line were inadequately equipped." Can you give us some details? What does inadequately equipped mean?
Well, inadequately equipped means that they don't have the tools they need to increase their survivability.
What tools?
Tools like body armor. 40,000 troops went into Operation Iraqi Freedom 1 without body armor. That's unacceptable. Troops did not have up-armored Humvees. That's unacceptable. And troops now, to this day, still don't have armored vehicles, especially National Guard and Reserve units, which make up roughly 40 to 45% of our force structure in Iraq. It's unacceptable. They've done this on a cheap, and the soldiers are raising these concerns because they understand for them it's a life-and-death situation.
Do you know why we're in this situation?
It's because it's poor planning. I mean, all we're hearing from Rumsfeld is excuses. I'm tired of hearing excuses, and so are the soldiers. They want solutions. They want a plan, they want a timeline, and they want to know why it hasn't been fixed already. And all we got today, again, from Rumsfeld was excuses, and that's why the troops are so adamant about bringing it directly to through the chain of command and to Rumsfeld himself. They're tired of hearing these excuses, and they want results now. These are a group of people who are getting ready to go across the border to Iraq in a matter of hours.
Colonel Al, let me bring you in here. This issue of the armor for the vehicles being in short supply versus the argument that it's not about the armor, it's about the types of explosives that are being used. What do you think of that argument?
Well, look, basically what you're talking about here, Allison, is one of the oldest things in warfare, explosives versus armor. And what you're seeing here, the Army really did not do a very good job of understanding that they were up against a group of people that literally would stop at very, very few things to do the kinds of things you're seeing here on the monitor. To put explosives, IEDs, up against those kinds of vehicles, because we had opted for the kinds of vehicles that were a lot lighter, a lot more mobile, didn't have the armor protection they probably should have had. We also did not understand as well as we should have that we're up against an insurgency and a long-term occupation that raised those risks to an unacceptable level.
And Colonel Allard, what did you think about that specialist, that private, Mr. Wilson, standing up and taking on the defense secretary?
He had some guts. I'll really give him that. But again, his life is on the line. What really said a lot to me, though, was the response he got from all the troops sitting there around him, who obviously felt exactly that same way.
And Paul, finally, I'll let you weigh in on that. What did you think of Specialist Wilson's act today?
I would agree with the Colonel. The guy's got some guts, and he's setting up a flare. He wanted that to be received by the press. He wanted the American public to know, and he was looking out for his guys. We take care of our own, and you saw the response indicates that entirely.
Paul Rieckhoff of Operation Truth and military analyst Ken Allard, we thank you both for weighing in today.
Thank you, ma'am.
You bet.